In this video we are going to focus on area of a triangle. So one side of the triangle is called the base. If you look at the three diagrams here, you'll see a B for base. Yes, it's along the bottom. It's not always going to be the case. It depends on the way that the triangles are positioned, rotated, flipped, etc. The perpendicular distance from the base to the opposite vertex, so the vertex is the pointy bit we have here at the top of our triangles, that's called the height, and I've got H for height. So let's look at this one here. This is a right angle triangle. We have the base and the height. Now if this triangle was rotated and this small side was down the bottom and the other longer side here was going upwards, we could actually reverse the base and the height. So as long as you're aware that the two sides that we use are attached to the right angle and not this longer side here. So either way they can be switched around. It's not really a big deal because it will work out okay in the end. In this example we have the base here, and through the center of the triangle we have this red dotted line with a right angle. This is a very good indication this is the height. It's running from the base, the perpendicular height, to the vertex. So this is the height and this is the base. Sometimes we're given measurements outside the actual triangle itself, so it's important to have a look at these dotted lines and find the right angle. This dotted line is like an extension of the base, which we've identified here, and it runs up at a right angle to the very top point of the vertex of the triangle. So this is the height. Let's now work at calculating the area of these triangles. So first thing I'm going to do is figure out which is the base, which is the height, and we are using the same triangles that we were using before. So base and height. Base at the bottom here, perpendicular height to the vertex, is the height, and this is the base here with an extension of the base, the perpendicular height to the vertex, so this is the height. Okay, so before we start, the first thing that we need to know is the rule for area of a triangle. So area of a triangle equals half the base times the height. So in between half, base and height are these little invisible multiplication symbols that we can't see, but they do exist. The next step we're going to do after writing the rule is substitution. That means we're going to replace these b's and h's, so bases and heights, for the actual value on the triangle. So we write half times, because we separate them with the times symbol. Now the base is 8 times the height of 6. So we need to make sure that we get this correct. We can't get it wrong. We must represent the b and the h correctly. We punch that into the calculator and we use a really good button called the ABC fraction button. And the ABC fraction button looks like this, ABC, okay? And that we use in place of this little line here. So in your calculator you punch in 1 ABC fraction button 2 times 8 times 6, and you will get 24 meters squared. Now meters is the unit of measurement. We need to make sure we put that in, and because we're dealing with area, which is all the inside space inside this 2D object, we must have the 2 representing squared. Let's take a look at this second triangle. So again we write the rule, area equals half times base times height, or half the base times the height. And invisibly in between those is those little multiplication symbols. So now we're going to substitute our second line here. So we go half times the base, which is 10, times the height of 9. Punch that into your calculator. 1 ABC fraction button 2 times 10 times 9, and we get 45. The measurement unit is centimeters, and area means it's squared, so we must put that little 2 there. Again, we write the rule for the third triangle. We go to our second line of substitution where we replace these letters with the correct numbers. So we go half times the base, which is 9, times the height, which is 4. Calculate that. 1 ABC fraction button 2 times 9 times 4 equals 18. It's meters and squared. Sometimes we get triangles with multiple measurements on them, and they are there trying to trick you. So It's really important to identify the base and the height based on what you can see there. So like the other triangles that we've seen some of these red dotted lines coming outside the triangle. This is like an extension of the base, and this is the perpendicular height to the vertex. So this is the base, this is the extension outside the dotted lines. There's our right angle, which gives us an indication it's going straight up to the vertex. This is the perpendicular height. So 8 is the perpendicular height. This is trying to fool you as this and this one here. So you only need 2 measurements. So we write area equals half times base times height with the invisible multiplication symbols. Our second line is substitution. Half times the base of 6 times the height of 8. Punch that into your calculator using the ABC fraction button. So 1 ABC fraction button, 2 times 6 times 8, and we get 24 meters squared. So the unit of measurement is meters, and because we're dealing with area, the inside part of the 2D shape, we must put the little 2 there to represent area.